Let's take a look at Republicans speaking on some of Trump's recent cabinet appointments, as we have some pretty damning before and afters, so to speak, that I think will shed some light on the state of the Republican Party. So I've lined these up and we'll knock them out one by one.
This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night.
Are you going to vote for Matt Gaetz?
You know, Matt Gaetz and I, there's no question that we've had our differences. They've been very public about it. I completely trust President Trump's decision-making on this one.
I mean, do you need anything else to see that this is pretty obviously a cult? Before Trump appoints this guy, he's being brutally honest about how gross he thinks his behavior is. He's saying he's seen videos of him partying with young girls so he could sleep with them, taking drugs or whatever so he could go all night, right? Hardly acting in a manner of someone you would want from your sitting attorney general. Again, he was being investigated, resigned from Congress, so the investigation can't be released, and now it doesn't continue. For sleeping with minors is what he's being investigated with, or sex trafficking minors and sleeping with them. But because now he got the Trump stamp of approval, the Republicans have to be like, well, we like him, because they can't go against the cult, or Trump and Elon will spend millions of dollars to primary you. Marjorie Taylor Greene said it. They told you that. And they'll bully you out of the party like we've seen Trump do with any other Republican who doesn't go along with every single thing he says. I mean, how can we trust a party to act in our best interest that doesn't even have the goal to go against their leader if he's out of line, or speak about any of the qualms they may have about their party?
Vaccines don't cause autism, which is what RFK pushes, which is why people are concerned that he could get a job like HHS. And I don't even think
he's not getting a job for HHS. What he's trying to do, here's what he wants to do. He said, I want data. I just want data, because they block the data.
But the data's out there.
Wait, it's not.
They don't block it. You can look at it. It's online.
He wants the data so he can say, these things are unsafe. He says, if you give me the data, all I want is the data, and I'll take on the data and show that it's not safe. And then if you pull the product liability, the companies will yank these vaccines right off of the market. So that's his point. He's not trying to do anything but things that made sense. And look,
this is not where I thought this was going, because...
Well, I spent 2.5 hours
RFK Jr. is a vaccine skeptic. He pushes lies about vaccines. And I don't even think if Republicans...
Why do you think he pushes lies? Why you said... You said, I'm not a scientist and you aren't. So
but
he just wants
scientists
data.
say he pushes lies.
But scientists who are paid to say he pushes lies. I mean, let's give him the data. I think it'd be pretty cool to give him the data. Let's see what he comes up with.
This is the head of Trump's transition team. The transition team is who helps Trump pick and put in place his appointments. This is him days before the election saying RFK Jr. will not be working with the HHS, something that Trump, again, has now appointed RFK to be the head of. This dude said he won't even have a job with him. Now he's running it. So they straight up lied to the American people because they know how radical RFK Jr. is, and they don't want that to be a possible attack line about him, like not believing vaccines, about him literally spreading conspiracy theories, going to America Samoa and having disease spread because he was getting people to buy into his nonsense. It's crazy because he also admits here that RFK Jr. wants to get approved, safe and efficient, effective vaccines pulled off the market. So now we know what his agenda is going to be. Anyway, it's the anti-vax conspiracy nonsense. And I, for one, I'm sick, I'm tired of how normalized this kind of anti-intellectualism has become, where it's like, we can't believe science. Like, who cares about science? Studies, data, that stuff doesn't matter, right? People who go to school to work with vaccines are just woke and bought and paid for. And we can't trust doctors. Doctors lie. And it's just this literal rejection of anything intellectual, which is what they, the quote unquote they, but really it's what the elites kind of want from the workers, to where we will never critically engage with anything. And we're more likely to just follow suit, fall in line. And the right has already jumped off that cliff and are willing to do so. And it's kind of appalling, right? But we live in a timeline where an anti-vax conspiracy theorist can be in charge of health and human services. It's Idiocracy, if I've ever seen it, the movie, right? And so, good luck the next 4 years.
I believe in the principle of a new president being able to choose his team, and that used to not be a controversial notion. We're in a time of very divided government and a very partisan atmosphere in Washington. I wish it were not. I wish the Senate would simply do its job of advice and consent and allow the president to put the persons in his cabinet of his choosing. But if this thing bogs down, it would be a great detriment to the country, to the American people. Remember, they just delivered a mandate to the president, an overwhelming popular vote victory and of course, electoral college victory. And they have sent the message that America First policies should be the rule of the day. So the persons that the president is choosing will help with that agenda.
Okay, so many things to touch on here. It wasn't a landslide election that gave Trump some mandate. Trump has under 50% of the vote, so he didn't win with a majority, just a plurality, and he has less than a 2% lead in the popular vote. It was a close election in terms of votes that was decisive electorally because the Electoral College always favors Republicans. It's pretty much DEI for Republicans. We don't have to get into that, but it's literally the establishment, and it's the establishment that will always work for the right. I mean, Hillary literally got more votes than Trump by a similar margin than Trump got to Kamala in 2016. And Republicans weren't saying, well, Trump won, but America really just mandated Hillary's agenda, right? Or when Biden won electorally by a landslide and the popular vote by a wider margin than Trump did here in 2020, Republicans didn't say it was a mandate. They said it was stolen. So it's all just a bunch of nonsense to begin with. It's just double standard to where, like, when they lose, there's one way that they're going to view the election, but when they win, everybody has to view it this way, or else, they're crybaby snowflake liberals. And it's like kind of funny because, like, when they lost again, stormed the Capitol, don't know what else, right? So secondly, though, the way the right wants to concentrate power into the executive branch is scary. It's literally scary. Like, these people could care less about democracy. They just want to anoint a king, and they want it to be Donald Trump. Like, they want him to be the king specifically. They do not want a government to provide any checks and balances to the president, as long as it's Donald Trump, that is. One of the ways that democracy can keep its weight on the scales of the political sphere in terms of the presidential power specifically is through these exact sorts of checks and balances, where even with the presidential appointments, democratically elected senators need to confirm them. And they aren't there to just confirm anyone he chooses. They're there to make sure he's choosing candidates that should and can be confirmed. You don't lower your standards for appointments so the president can get his appointments through. You make him raise the quality of the candidate. That is the point of the process. And with MAGA saying, like, the Senate should just unequivocally and without question confirm anyone Trump chooses is wild. Again, they want Trump to have unchecked, unquestioned power. Does anyone think that's, like, normal? It's not. It's crazy. And these people talk about it like it is. Like, it's just regular. Like, yeah, Trump should be unquestioned. Why should the Senate go against anything he says? Why should the government ever question him? Why should bureaucrats not be able to go against him and be scared about being fired? Why shouldn't he be able to fire bureaucrats? Why shouldn't he be able to do this? Like, it's insane. These people don't understand what fascism is.